Hello, YouTube reality. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. Courses.thunderwizard.com, thunderwizard.com. Today we're going to be talking about something, I've talked about both of these things. I've talked about creating alternate timelines, alternate realities. I've talked about the matrix and how to know how to program the matrix to work for you. And I'm going to share with you, how do we put these two things together? How can we have alternate realities and yet be trapped in a matrix? So it's really important if you want to make headway in your spiritual progress. It's really important that you learn how to think and think deeply. It's really important that you be able to acknowledge and experience your own emotional agendas, your emotional realities, positive and negative. And it's really important that you be able to analyze the beliefs and the assumptions that you have taken on. Because if you can't do that, you won't be able to accomplish a whole hell of a lot. You will just simply be another animal in this Maya illusion that we live in, and you will simply just be, like a cow with a ring in its nose. You'll just be pulled along by the nose. That's why they put rings in cows' noses. I mean, it's kind of a popular thing now. Young women, some really young, attractive women, and they've got these rings in their nose, and I just want to grab them by the ring and just pull them along. That's what they used to do to oxen. Because the oxen are so big, you can't really put a leash on them and pull them. They're just so strong. But you can be pulled along by the nose very easily. Everybody. So either you're mastering this universe or learning to master this universe, or you are being pulled along by the nose by whatever belief and assumptions you choose to adopt. I keep thinking about the reality that was shared with us through the vision of Carlos Castaneda. By the way, Carlos Castaneda, complete fraud. Totally none of what he said he accomplished he did, but he was a brilliant channel. Even though he consciously was lying, he was trying to, he pulled one off on the whole world. At least, and there are people still to this day trying to, do his thing. He was brilliant. But the way that he changed your view of how reality was brilliant. And one of the things that he taught, and I'm doing this in my words, not his, but one of the things that he taught was that your reality is merely the projection of your own internal assumptions about yourself. That everything is just energy. And that you are actually, through your own assumptions about yourself, and assumptions, by assumptions I mean your beliefs about yourself, you are continuously creating a false reality. It's not that it's false, it's just, imagine there's infinite wavelengths that you can see and experience, but you can only perceive one wavelength at a time. And wherever you're at is what you project, and that's what you experience. And, in his book, he's got all these, great stories about how you shift your, what he calls, I forget what he calls it, but this little ball of energy in your back, basically shift your kundalini, shift your awareness. If you shift it just a little bit, all of a sudden you'll be in a completely different universe. And that, if you can get that understanding that you are responsible for the reality that you create, but it will feel as though you are trapped in it. If you can understand that, then you can begin to start changing bit by bit. The other thing I loved about his books is that in order to be able to become what he called a warrior, which meant, a sorcerer, a magician, a wizard, is that it took tremendous discipline. And you had to practice all kinds of not only physical but emotional and spiritual things. You had to be very diligent and disciplined and continue to change the way that you are made up by your actions, your beliefs, your assumptions on a moment-to-moment basis. And that's why he called them warriors, because you were constantly in this battle. If you didn't do that, then you were stuck at wherever your indulgence level. And he used the word indulgence, which I thought was great. And that's what is true. We indulge in our feelings of victim mentality. That's why it's hard for me to have empathy when people come on here and complain. When they start complaining about their life. It's not that what they're talking about isn't real. I know it's real. But the more that you complain about it, the more that you complain about being trapped in the matrix, complain about the government, complain about people, complain about aliens, whatever it is, whatever you're complaining about, even though you think you're being some really awesome internet warrior, and you're going to reveal the truth about whatever it is, you're still complaining about being trapped, and you keep creating it. You think you're on the cutting edge of reality because you've watched a ton of YouTube videos and you've seen videos where people's eyes have changed and you can see that they're reptilians, or whatever it is, or you're listening to whatever political podcast and somebody's complaining about the government, this, that, and the other thing, and you're like, yeah, government. You're indulging in your laziness. And even though you're in pain, maybe you're sick, maybe you're in pain, maybe you've experienced horrific things, the more you complain about it, the more you become entrenched in that particular view of reality, and it won't change. So, I made some videos about Bashar. I still have my doubts. I got to be honest. I still have my doubts about whether Bashar is really channeling anything. But there are some things, there's some things that he says that is just nonsense. But some of the things he says, like about your expectations and your beliefs on your reality, continuously you're creating and changing your reality all the time. There's some truth to that. Physics tells us that. Science. Science tells us that light, for instance, perhaps the most fundamental aspect of our reality, light will manifest based on the expectations of the observer. If you create an experiment that says that light is a particle, light will show up as a particle. If you create an experiment with the expectations that light will show up as a wave, light will show up as a wave. It will show up however you need to. In fact, the latest, there was an experiment that was done, I think, in the 70s, and then there was one done recently where they saw not only does light respond according to the expectations of the viewer, but it actually will change the result of the evidence based on your expectations. In other words, light will go through and do whatever it does, and then it'll go, oh, you wanted me to be a particle. All right, now I'm going to go back in time and change the evidence so that it'll look like I'm a particle. Oh, no, you thought I was a wave. Let me go back in time and change that. Light will do that. Light will respond to your intention. Now, I'm sharing this with you about light because we're going to talk about the matrix. How can you create the matrix? If you believe the matrix is this computer program, which again, I mean, the narcissism and the childishness of that, that people understand computer programs, so we'll say that it's a computer program. 1,000 years ago, there was no such thing as computer programs, so they called it Maya. They called it illusion. But it means the same thing. But if you believe that we live in this computer program, that is a fixed reality. That doesn't change. You're screwed. You're stuck. That's it. It's over. But if you understand that the matrix, even if you want to look at it as a computer program, even if you want to be so small-minded and so narcissistic because you're on a computer program every day that you want to call it a computer program. Oh, and by the way, I saw the movie The Matrix, so I can understand that. So it's a computer program. Children. Even if you want to look at it that way, what you need to understand is that the matrix is something you can use to create your alternate reality. But in order to do that, you got to be able to think in multiple dimensions. People think in these two dimensions. I keep seeing these things about, the escape to the matrix is at the North Pole. How convenient, the most difficult place to get to on the planet. And yet how many people do you know are going out of their way to get to the North Pole? They'll sit around and talk about it. If you go to the North Pole, you can exit the matrix. The matrix this, the matrix that, escape the matrix, this is blah, blah, blah. But nobody's actually doing anything. If I thought that were true, I would definitely be saving and scrimping I would be stealing in order to get the money to get to the North Pole to exit the matrix. So it shows you how much people really believe. Again, they indulge in feeling like a victim so that they can keep talking about it. Every time you talk about it, you solidify that reality. They indulge in it. And I'm not talking about people, who are just, doing it, with no consequences. There are people suffering tremendously. But they're unwilling to change. You got to be willing to change. You got to be fluid. You got to be willing to change in order to grow. You got to be willing to do things that are challenging and difficult and painful and frightening in order to grow. We talk about Odin on this channel a lot. Odin died to himself. Odin sacrificed himself on the tree of knowledge, the tree of life. He sacrificed himself to himself. He died to himself. And as a result of that, the mysteries of the universe were revealed to him. The matrix, the runes, we talk about the runes. The runes are the building blocks of sound that creates reality. It's just another word for the matrix. He saw the matrix. He saw the matrix. This is the difference between, somebody who's, trying to create some magical system and somebody who sees it. Rishi in the Vedic is somebody who sees reality. So mantra, a true mantra, is not something somebody has concocted. It's something they heard. They got to a specific vibration in the fabric of the universe, and they heard the mantra, and so they bring it back. And so when you chant that mantra, you're chanting that vibration. People don't understand that mantras are deities. They're the vibrations of deities. Yantras, like this is a yantra, even though it's in multiple traditions. In the Vedic tradition, it's called the Ashtanga yantra, 8-sided yantra. And in the Norse tradition, it's called the Eyjashjálmur, the helm of awe. But it comes from the same root tradition. It's thousands and thousands of years old. I wish I still had it. I found a very ancient Vedic manuscript that had a bunch of sigils in it. This was in it. And when I saw them, they were the same. There's another book called the something, I forget what it is. It's an Icelandic magical book with a bunch of sigils in it. They're the same thing, separated by thousands of miles and perhaps tens of thousands of years. This knowledge is not something that you arbitrarily make up. It's seen in the universe. Anyway, I digress. So, in order to create the life that you want, you have to first understand that the matrix, Maya, is your servant. And it always has been. When you leave this life and you see reality for what it is, you will go, oh, I was doing that the whole time. That was me. All of the pain, all of the tragedy, whatever it is you're in, you did it. You created it. The universe, the matrix doesn't know that you don't know your divine God. The Matrix doesn't know that. It thinks that you know who you are. It thinks that you know, that you understand that this is all your own private video game. Just because you're taking on the character in this play of being the poor, helpless victim, just because you've chosen to take on that character, the Matrix doesn't know that you don't. The Matrix thinks that you're having fun, that you're choosing to experience something, and so you're throwing out all these commands all the time for it to give you all of these tragedies and problems, and it's going, okay, God wants this now. God wants to experience that problem. God wants to be poor and miserable and sick. Okay, let's create it. So you have to get over the idea that the Matrix is something that traps you, and it's a two-dimensional kind of a thing where it's just you're either in the Matrix or out of it. You have to get rid of that idea. Otherwise, you will stay trapped. People contact me and have been contacting me all the time wanting to know how to escape the Matrix. And I'll tell them, first you got to drop the fear and all that other stuff, and then say, but this life is so horrible, and if I can just escape this horrible place, and I'll go, you don't understand. With what you're carrying with you, even if you were to escape the Matrix into some other reality, you would bring all of those problems with you, and you would create it all over again. This is what happens when people die and go to the underworld and experience what we would consider to be torment. There is torment that happens when people die and go to the underworld. The original word for underworld was hell, and it didn't mean torment. It meant the place where the soul goes to undergo, look at itself and realize what it wants to create next time. But there's no shortage of souls that have gone into the underworld and are experiencing all kinds of torment. But it's only their own projection, their own egotistical, narcissistic projection of their limitation and their victim mentality that they brought with them. And so the goddess Hela, who is in fact the underworld herself, she is the womb of the souls. She will let you create that for 1 billion years if you want. She won't get in the way. She'll let you do that. When you're ready to come out of it, then she'll help you to create a new reality that you can then come to your senses. When you're done indulging in your self-pity, and you can stop beating yourself up, then you can create your own reality. Now that is true in life as well. So the thing is that the thing about living in the human body is that you have these three selves. You have your upper self, your middle self, which is your soul, and your lower self, which is your unconscious and your subconscious mind. We have the ability with these three selves to deny our true experience of life. This is, I've seen this a lot. There's, depending on how much trauma somebody's gone through, or what they've lived through, and what they push down and deny about themselves. There's all kinds of horrific stuff going on in your unconscious, but you're not aware of it because you have this ability to separate between your conscious and your unconscious. When you die, all that stuff in your unconscious is going to be released, and you'll have to experience it. So you might as well experience it now. So even if you escape the Matrix, it'll be worse for you, because all the stuff that you're not willing to overcome and deal with, guess what? Boom! Now it'll have control over you, and you'll be in a tormented, horrific place. And it's all you. Eventually, everybody eventually will become an ascended master. That is the unassailable reality for everybody. Everybody listening to me will become an ascended master. I don't know when or how long or what you'll have to go through. So I have, if you go to courses.thunderwizard.com, you'll find Escape the Matrix. I've got a couple of Escaping the Matrix courses there. And I tell you in detail what you need to understand to take the Matrix and turn it into your servant so that you can use it to create your alternate reality. Science tells us this. Physics also, theoretical physics says that mathematically there are infinite numbers of realities, and that whatever you can imagine and beyond must exist in another reality. So if you can imagine yourself being king of the universe, there is a reality where you are king of the universe. If you can imagine a reality where you're something less than that, there's a reality where you're experiencing that. So the reality that you're experiencing now is one of those myriad infinite numbers of realities that you are choosing to allow yourself to be stuck in. And so you can change that. You can use the matrix as a lever to change your reality, to create a new one, or to help you shift timelines. And we're all talking around it. You can say create a new reality, or you can talk about shifting timelines. That perfect reality exists, where you are living your perfect. There is a perfect reality where you are living the one thing that gives you the greatest happiness and the greatest bliss and pleasure. And you can use the matrix to shift into that timeline or create it. I don't care how you want to look at it. But the first thing you need to understand, and I talk about this in the Matrix series, courses.thunderwizard.com, you have to understand the rules. If you don't understand the rules of the Matrix, none of this will work. And the first rule is, this is the rule before the rules. You got to drop the idea that the Matrix is a fixed place and is a prison. If you are emotionally connected to that, if you're listening to me and you get emotionally reactive to the idea and you really want to just stand behind the idea that we have been trapped, we're being lied to, and we're trapped in this false reality. If you have an emotional connection to that, that means that you have a desire for that. It means that you want it. You have to be willing for things to be different than what you think they are. And as long as you have an emotional attachment to the idea of the matrix is trapping you. Now you think consciously, yeah, I'm fighting against those people who are trying to control me by staying aware that I'm trapped in their thing and I'm rebelling. That's not what's happening. Your emotional attachment to that means that you are actually attached to the idea of what really is going on an unconscious level is that you want mommy and daddy. If you think the matrix is controlling you and you're a victim, if you think that the government is controlling you and you're a victim, if you think Democrats or Republicans are controlling you, if you think that other religions, that other cultures, if you think that aliens, the elite, beings of light, if you have any emotional attachment to any of those beliefs, and those beliefs help you explain why you feel so trapped and victimized, I'm going to tell you what it means. You ready? It means you want mommy and daddy. You think you're rebelling against mommy and daddy, but in reality, you want mommy and daddy to love you. When you're ready to grow up, when you're ready to become your own parent, when you're ready to become your own God, when you're ready to become infinite and immortal and omniscient and omnipotent, then you will no longer need to fight against anything above you. And the only reason you fight against things above you is because what you really want is you want mommy and daddy to love you. I'm not trying to minimize it. There's nothing like a mother's love. Nothing in the world. In fact, for me, like when it comes to romantic relationships, I want to be with a woman who can be that, who can give me that unconditional loving that only you can get from the mother, from the goddess. I want that. But that doesn't mean that I'm looking for mommy and daddy to love me. So if you can understand that it's coming from your immaturity and your insecurity to be attached to the idea that something or anything has control over you. When you can understand it's coming from your infantile need to be loved by mommy and daddy, then you can let it go. Until then, you're going to argue with me. When I hand you the tools to say, you can be omniscient, omnipotent, and have everything that you want, you'd be surprised how angry people get at me when I tell them that. I'm giving you the tools to go create your own reality, and you're getting mad at me. And you want to argue with me about how everybody's doing it to you. And then people become, they're such wimps that instead of talking about themselves, they want to find some example in the universe, and they'll always talk about some, poor child that grows up in some third world country under some horrific conditions and say, well, if everything we do is our own choice, then why does it happen to those? And I want to say, is that happen to you? And don't talk about them. Only they can talk about what happened to them. You can't use them to justify your feelings of victimhood. Grow up. Talk about yourself. You want to talk to me about the horrors you've gone through? I'll listen to you. It won't change the fact that you can still change it if you take full responsibility. This is how powerful you are. This is the thing people don't understand. People want to go, but if I'm all powerful, why would I do this to myself? Why would I? Because you're all powerful. You can handle it. You can take it. The whole idea is for you to wake up and go, holy crap, I can control this thing if I want. I can actually win at this game. And, to go from, listen, I could talk about places I've been in my life, and to be where I'm at now, based on where I was, seems impossible. And I've been around and I've watched, my family members, watch people in my family who grew up in the exact same house that I did, who, I've shared about it. So, my brother, last time I heard, was homeless and refused to get any kind of help. And he's like on death's door. He grew up in the same house I did. The difference is that he, from the beginning, from as far as I can remember, he has been seeing himself as a victim, and he's still waiting for mom and dad to love him. He's still waiting, and they've been dead for years. So, this is the kind of stuff we're going to talk about today. Before we go any further, I am responsible for my own reality. And the reality that I've created is that I have not been paying attention to the fact that I have to pay taxes. Well, tax time came, and oh, holy crap, I've been spending all kinds of money on surfboards and fun and traveling, and oops, I got to pay taxes. So, courses.thunderwizard.com, all of my services except for a few, and except for things like the DVDs and and books that are on Amazon, which are inexpensive anyway, and except for Patreon subscriptions, everything else I have slashed all of my prices, sometimes up to 70%, but around half. So go there if you've been waiting to get some video teaching or anything. Now is the time, because once I pay off my taxes, my prices are going back up to normal. Because I like to have free time, and I don't want to spend my time working, but I need to pay off my taxes. So go to courses.thunderwizard.com if you want to take advantage of that. If you want to also support the channel and look at the subscription packages that we have, go to thunderwizard.com. And of course, subscribe and hit the bell button. All right, so let me take some questions. This is a question and answer after all. Here's how this works. If you're new to the channel, I'm only interested in your questions. I'm not interested in your thoughts into, whether you agree or disagree, or you think I'm great or I'm full of crap, or you just want to talk with each other. Please don't do that. I only want your questions. Write the word question in all caps so I can see it, and then write the rest of the question in normal. Make sure you write out a full sentence. I know you're on your phone and you're lazy and you're going to use letters and numbers and only do half a sentence and think that I'm going to understand what you're saying. Please give me a context. As fabulous and as spiritual as I am, I'm not that psychic that I can climb into your head and know what your whole thought is. You have to write it out. All right. So, 0Z question. Is the best way to escape the matrix to know what the matrix is? Yes! You nailed it. You have to understand what the matrix is. The matrix is not a program designed to trap you. Unless you don't know who you are. Then it is. If you don't know who you are, then that's exactly what it is. It is a program designed to keep you trapped in your illusion, in your ignorance, in your pain, in your fear. Why? Why would you do that? You created the matrix, so why would you build it to do that to you? Because when you finally get so miserable that you can't tolerate it anymore, then you finally go, that's it. I'm tired of being a victim. I'm going to do whatever it takes to live my dream. And then you are willing, like Odin did, you're willing to die to yourself to experience your infinity. Then the matrix turns around and says, aha, the master programmer has awoken, and now we have to give him whatever he wants. The matrix is designed, and again, go to courses.thunderwizard.com to see my matrix courses. The matrix is designed to respond positively or negatively based on your projection of your reality. Say that again. The matrix you designed is designed to react to you either positively or negatively based on your projection of your internal reality. If you believe you are a victim and you operate from fear, and I'll give you a very simple way to operate from fear. I want to move, let's say you live in Boise, Idaho, and you want to move to San Diego. I want to move to San Diego, but I don't have the money. If I get another job or if I win the lottery, then I'll have enough money, then I'll move, because that's what I really want to do. The universe goes, he's full of fear. Keep him stuck in Boise. If, on the other hand, you say, I don't have the money, but the thing I want most is to move and leave this crazy town and go live in San Diego and live by the beach, and even though I don't have the money and I might starve and die along the way and I'll have to hitchhike the whole way, I am doing whatever it takes to get there. The universe goes, give that person what they need. They now know who they are and what they want. That's coming from fearlessness. You're willing to die to yourself. If you think that you waiting around, and you've been taught to do this, you've been trained to do this, and this has only been in modern times, the past 2,000 years, increasingly. You go back 2,000 years and before, our ancestors did not think this way at all. They were willing to die for what they wanted. That's why my ancestors said, those who die in battle go to Valhalla. Those who are willing to die to themselves achieve enlightenment. They're willing to die, literally willing to die. It's either I get what I want or I die trying. That's it. It's the only way to accomplish what you want. If you're waiting around for God, and again, this is the whole Christian thing. God, please give me this. God, please give me that. You're waiting for God to give you, to win the lottery. It's never going to happen. I mean, maybe it will, but if you're waiting around for God to give it to you, you're operating from fear. You're operating from a feeling of inferiority, and the matrix goes, let's just hold off. Let's not give him anything. He doesn't know who he is yet. She doesn't know who she is yet. Your experience is that God doesn't love me. Nobody gives to me. This is a horrible, cruel universe. I never get what I want, and then you just keep repeating, and you create like a virus loop that you can't get out of. Which is exactly what happens in the underworld when you're trapped in a hell of your own, a torment of your own creation. You can have this here in the matrix, in Maya. But when you say, you know what I want most is this, it's impossible for me to have it, but I'm going to go do it, the matrix goes, give them what they need to experience what they want. I wish I had it. There was a video of a guy who was a paratrooper who, according to his body and according to the doctors, he was never going to walk again without crutches. And he went to doctors and he went to yogis and he said, I want to get over this. And all the yogis and all the doctors said, no, just take your pills. And one yogi took him on and said, okay, I'll teach you. And then there's this video of this guy, overweight, he can't walk. And you watch it, and I remember watching it, being who I am, going, wow, that guy, he'll probably get to walk. By the end of it, he was svelte and ripped, and he was running, doing things that were completely impossible. It's because he had in his mind what he wanted, and he wouldn't let anything stop him. That's when the matrix turns and becomes your servant. And then you literally create whatever universe you want. So to answer your question, yes. Best way to escape the matrix is to know what the matrix is. Question, Chills 34. In regards to your matrix courses, do I get all the videos for listed 129? I don't know your question. Whatever it says is what you get. So, each one of those links has, when you go there will be a price on it. So I don't know what you're asking. You know, two things you need in this life to get on is paying attention and putting effort. You need to pay attention to what's written on the screen, and you need to put effort to look at all the different things. So, you know, give me the exact URL you're talking about, and I might be able to answer you. There's so many things on my courses.thunderwizard.com page, I can't answer that question without knowing all about it. Daniel Cardenas, question: why does it seem that following your joy is very challenging when it should be the easiest thing? Who said it should be the easiest thing? So here's one of the things you have to understand about how life functions. Your assumptions, which is a fancy word of saying your beliefs, your assumptions about the universe will determine all of the choices that you make and your continuing beliefs. So you have an assumption here. You say that following your joy should be the easiest thing. That is an assumption. You don't know that to be true. It's an understandable mistake because you would think that. But let me explain to you how my understanding of how it works. And this is how I've proven this in my life. I'm not sharing something I read out of a book. Although if you look hard enough in scriptures and things, you'll find it. But I've proven it in my life. Before anybody told me or I saw it, I proved it through my actions. I forgot what I was going to say. There are two reasons for you. You want to know your purpose in coming here? People say, I want to know my purpose. Your purpose is twofold. Before you were incarnated, you as a soul had a desire. Now you're this limitless, infinite being, but you had a desire that you wanted to fulfill. And the only way you can experience those desires is by coming into three-dimensional reality. Because when you're in infinite bliss, you don't have any desires. So when you have a desire in that, the only way to do that is to limit yourself so that then you can achieve it and experience it. We come here to be limited. You complain about the Matrix, everybody. Matrix is limiting us, it's trapping us. Well, you wanted that, because without that, you wouldn't be able to achieve your desires. Again, you play a video game, you're not playing a video game, you know it's just a game. You know that, you know, people, the guns are going off and things are blowing up and people die. You know it's not real, so you don't take it seriously. Until you're playing it, and you're at level 34, and you've been at level 33 for 6 months, and you just got to level 34, and oh my God, everything that's happening is so real. And then your guy dies, and you scream, and you yell, and you stop, and then you take a breath, and you go, that was fun, man. And then you do it again. It's what your soul does. Your soul needs that limitation. And in order for the limitation to mean something, there has to be real consequences like illness and death and pain and misery. If those things aren't there, then the soul doesn't have any fun. It has no reason to actually try and accomplish something. So your soul had at least one desire that it wanted to accomplish. So that's what pulls it into a physical body, the desire. Now, the second reason that you're here is to overcome your fears and limitations. Every time you incarnate, even though your soul is infinite, it has its own vibration, and when it becomes limited, those vibrations start to result in strengths and weaknesses. And so you are looking to overcome your weaknesses, and the only way you'll notice them is if you're in limitation. So when you go after your greatest joy, what happens is your limitations pop up in front of you, and it's designed that way. That's why there are so many people that don't go after their joy. They don't go after their joy because they don't want to face their limitations. Understandable. And then afterwards, when they're out of the body, they go, you know what, I did it again, man. I'm going to make it harder this next time so I can't avoid it. There are some people, and I've known them, I'm sure you do, that just sort of skate through in the middle. They don't really have everything they want, but the universe gives them what they need, and they're just kind of mediocre, and they're nothing, boring life. Whereas if you're like me, if I don't live to, do everything in my power to live to my highest vibration, life is miserable. So I know exactly what you guys are talking about when you complain about how everything is against you. I know exactly what that's like. I just lived through it. I share with you guys everything. I got wrapped up And here I am. I'm this spiritual counselor. I've been in therapy and in 12-step groups for, almost 40 years. I've got my stuff together. I counsel people on how to, all this. And I fell for a woman who had a major mental illness. And I completely lost my identity. I lost my love for life. I've lost, probably $10,000 in that. And I almost got stuck and, it was horrible. I forgot who I was. I was coming on and I was doing the videos and I was saying, what would I tell myself right now? And I was following my own teaching and got me out of it. And now I'm back in, living where I want. Although now I've got some taxes I got to pay. But so I'm no different than you. I know exactly what it's like. So if you think that I'm somehow different than you and it's easy for me to say where I'm at and it's easy, I've been where you're at. I've probably been worse than you. So that's why none of your sob stories are going to have any effect on me, because if I can do it, you can do it. So it's not the easiest thing. Your assumption is wrong. Your joy when you have the ability, when you're not operating from fear, which includes wanting other people's love and approval, when you're not operating from the need to have other people's love and approval, you will have an intuitive experience of what will make you happy. And when you think about it, you will have this joy that overcomes you. Now, it may only last for a second, because as soon as that joy overcomes you, then all of your fears will pop up. I'm not good enough. I can't do that. No, that's just stupid. And then you're back in the conflict. I just started a new subscription series on the thunderwizard.com page. Go check it out, which is the divine union of masculine and feminine. Now, I was thinking about, okay, I really got to step up my game. I can feel my channel starting to peter out, and I really want it to go to the next level, and I want to be really excited about what I'm teaching. And so, people have been pushing me for a long time to talk about the masculine and the feminine, and I've sort of touched on it, but then I leave it alone. And I started thinking about, holy crap, and this whole awareness of inspiration of what I could do with that, and the things I could teach, and how this is actually the next level of teaching. And then I had that, and this is what happens when you have inspiration. You got to write it down, because you think you're going to remember it. You're like, oh, this is heaven. I'm never going to not feel this way about this. And then you wake up the next day and you go, what the hell was I doing? Oh, that's so stupid. I don't want to do that. Oh, people are going to make fun of me. No, and then you talk yourself out of it and you forget. So I know this. I've been through this. Again, I'm no different than you. I had this inspiration about it. I wrote it all down, made notes about it, and said, okay, great. And then tomorrow I'm going to do it. Tomorrow I woke up and I was depressed. I felt like a loser. That's my stuff coming up, because I'm on the verge of now going towards where my soul wants to go. Now I have to do the battle. I have to die to myself. I have to be willing to die in battle to achieve that. And the way that I do that is I spent the past 2 days in front of my laptop creating a bunch of websites and creating some videos. You saw, the videos are just coming out of me now. I'm not doing it because I'm constantly on this high of I'm this greatest person. It's because I had the inspiration, and now all of the challenges internally are coming up, and I'm smart enough to know that that means I'm on the verge of something. Just keep hammering away at it. There are days when I do not want to make videos. I don't want to get out of bed for whatever reason. And I do it because I know that my feelings are not important. My actions are. I had the inspiration. Now you're in the challenge period. So what? Take action. And then you're in the results. Those days when I don't want to do this, and I don't want to sit in front of this and talk about this stuff, those are the days that people email me right afterwards or give comments. Please don't email me. I don't like emails unless you're a client or a student. They send me comments of, that was the best one ever. And I'm like, oh my God, how could that be the best one ever? I felt like crap. You got to get over yourself. So you're telling me that following your dreams is the most is challenging, and you want it to be easy. Get over that. Once you have the inspiration, write it down and commit to do it or die. And it will be challenging. And for some people, it will be more challenging than others. I won't lie to you. There are some people, I'm thinking of, some people in mind. There are some people that it's so challenging they can't do it. They feel they can't do it, but I know that if they were to work through those challenges that feel like it's killing them, they would achieve things that we wouldn't even be able to comprehend. So the greater the resistance, the greater the impact it'll have on the world. So you're here for two reasons. You're here to find out what your true soul desire is and what you want to do. And then your next reason for being here is then to battle past all of the challenges that will come up. So just expect that. When you get to the essence of your true soul, this illusion, you designed it this way, is designed to start bringing up the challenges so that you'll grow past them. And when you grow past them, guess what? You get to teach other people how to do the same thing. That's the other reason you're here. You're here for your own personal joy and satisfaction, and you're here to help others achieve the same thing. Those are the only two reasons that you're here. Make sense? The lotus, question. You actually write the word question out because I'll miss it. I don't like laziness. That's kind of lazy. And if I don't see that, I'll miss it. So he's question mark. Do you favor one discipline or belief over another? What kind of a question is that? I favor the beliefs that I teach. So the lotus, you're new to the channel, I'm assuming. Spend some time watching my videos so you know what I believe, and you don't have to ask that question. You mix many and, in my opinion, some conflict. So you're not asking the question. You pretend to ask a question and then you give me a criticism. Well, look, you're the one that has to figure out if I have something of value to give to you. I really don't care about your opinion. It's okay with me that you think, you have whatever criticism about what I say or what I do. There's plenty of other channels. You want to go to another channel and find what you're looking for, go be my guest. Don't waste my time with that. If you have an honest question, ask me an honest question because there's something that you want to know that you think I have the answer to. If you don't think I have the answer and you've got it all put together, don't waste our time with that nonsense. If you have an honest question, have the bravery to ask it. Okay? You're welcome on my channel. Now you know how it works. All right, let's see what else. See, this is why I only want questions. All right, listen. So the lotus, your criticism of me, the next one didn't come out. So listen. If you feel that way about me, it didn't get on there, so I'm not going to bother repeating it. But he's just giving his opinion. If you don't think I have anything to offer, then don't waste your time. I've asked you to not do anything except ask questions. You've now gone past that and chosen to criticize me. So you've lost your right to comment today. If you do it again, I'll block you altogether. I got other things to do. There are other people that actually think I have something to offer them, and I want to give my time to them. You don't like it here, go someplace else. Don't waste your time. You got better things to do. Okay. Gremnor Thomas, question. What is the difference between mudras done with both hands together or separated? I don't know. You tell me. I teach a lot of different ones. I mean, off the top of it, here's one. If you ever watched, what the heck is that called? Not Snake Pit, but what is that called? The Shark Tank. Snake Pit. It's Freudian slip there. If you notice that the guys on the Shark Tank, all the moguls, they sit there and they do this. You'll see this a lot with like CEOs and people who have a lot of power, and they have to figure things out, right? Businessmen, because they got to think about a billion things at once. They do this. They do this instinctively because this is a mudra. Each one of your fingers is connected with a different part of the brain. So and each one of the hands is associated, like my right hand is associated with my left brain, my left hand is associated with my right brain. So what you do with the mudras, if they're different hands and stuff like that, you're stimulating different parts of the brain to accomplish an effect. So when you do it separately, you're like, let's say your right hand, you're touching this finger, and on the left hand, you're touching this finger, right? And you're holding it like this. Then what's happening is that you're asking this side of the brain to be stimulated with this finger, and this side of the brain to be stimulated with this finger, and the interaction of that will create whatever, combination of energies to give you whatever awareness it's meant to give you. When they're together, it means, like this one is, you're getting all of the brain. The guys that are in the Shark Tank are trying to use all of their brain so that they can listen to what somebody's saying and decide, do they have a valuable idea? Can they pull it off? Do I already have this? What's going to happen in 10 years? Can I turn this into money in the long term? They're thinking about all these different things and who can I do to make it blah, blah, blah. And so they're using all of their brain to try and figure it out. Okay, so that's one way to understand how mudras work. Joven Hudson, question, can practicing martial arts or Qigong help with spiritual elevation? You're new to my channel. I have. If you go to this link right here, now that you've said it, if you go to this link, you will see me teaching a very powerful Qigong method that is actually reverse engineered from an internal martial art that was used for fighting negativity. So the answer to that question is obviously yes. But it tells me that you're new to my channel. So I invite you to spend more time watching my channel and getting to know what it is that I teach. I am both a martial artist and I practice Qigong. So the answer to your question is yes. Shaw A, if you have a question, write the word question. I almost missed it. Listen to what I say, please. Please follow my directions and I can best help you. How do I separate my business self made in this system from my spiritual good, nice side? So many assumptions in there. So you talk about your business self made in this system. So you have judgments about this system. I have a business self and I have a spiritual self, and they're both right now in front of you. I've got all these links up here. I'm doing all these things to sell you my products because I have a business to run and I have taxes to pay. And I am also fulfilling my spiritual essence by teaching this stuff for free on this channel. Over 600 plus free videos, meditations, Qigong, mantras, rituals, hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours of free teaching. I'm expressing my spiritual side as well as my business side, and there's no conflict. Why you have conflict, I don't know where you were taught that, I understand it. But if you first got to get rid of this nonsense about this system. You're not trapped by any system. That judgment, and this is similar to when people want to complain about, somebody asked me on the last one, and it was a passive-aggressive, a backhanded attack, but people pretend to ask a question like the other guy did. And he said, what are your thoughts on commercialized spiritual people? Obviously, he's talking about me and other people who charge for their services and their spiritual services. Well, that person, people who ask that are people who didn't get enough love from mommy and daddy. It's not a criticism, it's a fact. And they are transferring their need for mommy and daddy to love them unconditionally and give to them unconditionally. They're transferring that onto spiritual teachers, and they don't see spiritual teachers as people who have lives and have need to pay bills, and that it takes them time and energy to learn what they learn. And they don't understand the exchange of the universe, that there's always a give and take. The universe demands that you give in order to get. They don't understand that because they're still operating from an infantile need to have mommy and daddy give to them. So they didn't get enough love or attention or something when they were little kids, and they projected onto teachers. That's the same vibe that says there's this evil business system and then there's spirituality. I'm not saying that there aren't evil businessmen out there, but there are also evil teachers out there as well. There are teachers out there, I talked about Carlos Castaneda in the beginning. Brilliant. Some of the most brilliant spiritual teaching that has ever been channeled onto this planet. He was a horrible person. He was evil, he was selfish, he was unconscious, he was destructive, and he is responsible for deaths. He had all these women followers that he had, in his, that he was sleeping with. And when he died, because he didn't bother to even tell them the truth, they went off and killed themselves after he died because he told them to do it. So there are evil spiritual people and there's evil business people, and there are good business people and there are good spiritual people. If you're a good person, there's no disconnect. So you're telling me that you think you're an evil person because you go off and you do whatever it is that you do for a business and that makes you evil. How? Why? What are you doing? Are you selling crack to kids? I mean, is your business providing a service that people need? If you're providing a service that is harmful to people, then stop doing that. It's that simple. Provide a service that people need, and people will pay you for that. That's the whole idea. So this question tells me more about you than about this. How do you separate the two? Who says you need to separate the two? There's no reason to do that. Your spiritual good self, either you're good or you're bad, my friend. And if you're an evil businessman causing people harm, you can go home and pretend to be a good spiritual person all you want. And you're not, if that's the case. So I don't think that's the case. I think you've bought into some self-hatred and some shame that, is running around. People out there are so full of crap, They all have phones, they all, go on the internet, they all drive cars, they all, but then they'll talk about the evil system and money and, and all that. People are so full of crap. There's nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with and I'll give you another example. People want to talk about bartering. They want to get out of this evil money system and go to bartering. Well, money is bartering. What makes you think that if you're going back to a bartering system and you're giving somebody eggs in exchange for them fixing your porch, what makes you think that there aren't going to be selfish people in that community who's going to want to have a monopoly on eggs? And they're going to do things to sabotage other people so that they're the only one that has all the eggs. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with eggs or cash. There's still corrupt people. Money is just energy. Grow up. Everybody needs to grow up about all this stuff. It only becomes a problem if you have a problem. If you are lying to people and cheating people and manipulating people, then you're the one that has the problem. You're the evil one. There's nothing wrong with money. Money is just energy. And right now it's just a symbol. I don't have any cash on me, but it's just a symbol. And there's nothing evil about that. It's how you interact with it that makes you evil or otherwise. And the universe will always work this way. There will always be an exchange of energy, whether you're bartering or giving money. It doesn't matter. It's always going to be this way. And there will always be evil, corrupt people in whatever exchange system that you have. Grow up. So how do you separate your business self made in this system from my spiritual good, nice side? You don't. You don't like what you do for business, do something else that you feel good about. Okay? All right. I beat that horse to death. Jovan Hudson, where are we? Question, I already answered that. K. Mani, question about discovering why we are here using our birth chart. Okay, so I teach Vedic astrology. I don't teach Western astrology. I don't even know a whole hell of a lot about it, other than Western astrology is off by 24 degrees. So you have to understand that. If we're going to start talking about astrology, I'm going to say Vedic astrology. So if you're talking about Western astrology, don't try and apply anything I'm saying to your Western chart. Get a Vedic chart, and then we'll have something to talk about. Is our purpose and challenge shown as the north node and the south node, our past life and our comfort zone? So in Vedic astrology, the north node is called Rahu and the south node is called Ketu. Again, if you don't know what your Vedic chart is, don't try and figure it out based on your Western chart, because your Western chart is off by 24 degrees and your north node and your south node may be in a completely different house and sign. Okay? If we're talking about Rahu and Ketu, Rahu is the desire that brings you into this life. It's not necessarily your purpose. It's the desire, right? I have a bunch of desires. One of them is to surf. It's the thing that gives me the greatest joy. I have other more human desires that are getting me into some trouble. That's not necessarily my spiritual purpose, but they're my desires. And part of my spiritual reality is to fulfill my desires. So that's part of the awareness, to learn where Rahu, the lesson of Rahu, the north node is, this isn't going to make me happy. I think if I have enough sex and enough money and enough drugs and enough whatever, that then I'll be finally satisfied. And the lesson of Rahu is, nope, that stuff doesn't bring satisfaction. And you go, oh, all right, so I don't have to do that anymore. And then in the next life, you have a different desire, and the other one becomes your south node, which is, oh yeah, I did that in the past life. Yeah, I was a business mogul, you know. Donald Trump has Rahu in Leo in his 10th house. In Vedic, he has Rahu in Leo. Is it in Leo? No, I think he is a Leo. He has Rahu in his 10th house. I don't remember which sign. But whatever it is, I did a whole video on it. His whole desire is to rule and own the world. And he will do whatever he can. He will lie, cheat, steal, do absolutely whatever it takes in order to become king of the universe. Now, it's not going to bring him satisfaction. Whatever you think about him, positive or negative, I could give a crap. It's not going to bring him satisfaction. And then when he gets through this life and the next one, he'll go, yeah, that didn't do it for me. So in the next life, he might be a monk. He might be a spiritual monk. Because, you know, he will have achieved that and he won't care about it. Or I don't know, maybe it'll take him a bunch of different lives before he realizes that there's nothing in it for him. So that's what Rahu is. It's your desires, your unfulfilled desires, that represents your illusion that pulls you into this reality. Your south node is not so much your past life and your comfort zone. It's what you have mastered. Now, Ketu, the south node in this life, there's something still left. There's still some desire left in Ketu. I'll give you an example in my life. Ketu for me sits in my 5th house, which is the house of children. It's the house of mantra. It's the house of higher education. It's the house of romance, sex. So there are some things that I've mastered that I don't care about. One of them is kids. I've never wanted kids. I don't want kids. The thought of it, why people want to have this helpless, whining thing that takes all of your time and your money and your energy, and why you want to spend 20 years of your life for each one, and they have multiple kids. Why you want to do that, I have no idea. But I can see that it really gives people a hell of a lot of satisfaction, and it's built into them, and so I respect that. For me, I hear a child crying and it makes me wince. It's like the worst horror movie is an infant crying. If I sat through that for 2 hours, that's the worst like Halloween nightmare I can go through. For some people, it's, oh, that baby, he's so cute, and his poop smells good, and he smells so good. Scares the crap out of me. That's because in a previous lifetime, I mastered that. How do I know that? Women and parents. You know, if I happen to be around their little kid, one of the things I do is I don't talk down to little kids. I treat them like adults. I mean, obviously not in every way, but I'll talk to them with respect, and I'll talk to them like they understand me, and I'll treat them with value, and I call them yes, sir. You know, if it's a little boy, I'll say, yes, sir, how can I help you? So I realized that was a human, you know, an adult. It's now, you know, he's coming straight from the source. He's got a lot of knowledge. I treat them with respect. I can hang out with them and they like me, and then mothers will come, oh my God, you should be a dad. You're so good with the kids. I can't tell you how many women, I want you to be the father of my children. I did it already. I don't want to do it again. There are some other things I'm good at that I mentioned in that house that I don't even pay attention to. And, women go, oh my God, how you're like a, maybe you'll be able to fill in the blanks. But I'm not aware of it because it just, past life I mastered it. In this life, it's not a big deal. So yeah, comfort zone is partially true. But it's also something that you won't be aware of. You won't really care about or be aware of because you did it already. But there's something in it. So fifth house is performance. So I'm an actor and a musician. I can pick up, where's my flutes? I can pick up, nobody trained me in flutes, but I can pick up a flute and I can play. And people go, oh my God, that's amazing. And I really don't know what the hell I'm doing because I mastered it in a past life. Because same thing, I was an actor, so same thing with my acting. I could go and I do different characters and dialects, and I'm a master actor, and I had to get that out of my system. So K2, there will be something in the tail of the snake that needs to shake to get it out of the last bits out of your system. But yeah, it'll be your comfort zone. Courses.thunderwizard.com. You can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com, but you can also see all of my astrological services. You'll save money on that. And now we have, since you're here, I'm going to give it. We have 2-for-1. I don't have the video for that. There's a 2-for-1 where you can get certified in Vedic astrology and in rune readings. And you will pay only for one certification and you'll get 2. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos, especially the rune ones, but the astrology as well. And if you get certified, if you go through the course and you pass a very simple test with me, I'll put you up on the website, and you can create your own business. So since we're talking about that, go courses.thunderwizard.com, see the 2-for-1 special on the certification. Where did we go here? K Mani question. Again, if I may, my grandmother is very close to passing. I'm sorry to hear that. It will be any day now, and unfortunately she had a stroke and cannot speak. How can I communicate with her before she passes? I don't know why you're asking me, my friend. First off, I'm very sorry that you're going through that. There's nothing like the death of a loved one. There's just nothing like it. And my heart goes out to you. Now's the time to just, do what you can. I don't know where she's at, but her spirit has some awareness. These are the times when you do ritual for people. These are the times that you do mantras. So to answer your question, what I would do, you can just do a simple one if you don't know it. Do Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Just go and chant that. Go light a candle for her soul and chant that. Her soul is starting to pull. The reason why she's not functioning physically is because her soul is extricating itself from her body. And so that's a difficult transition for some souls. And so the reason why people do the chanting and the praying is that the soul can feel it, and it sort of creates this sort of like, magic carpet for the soul to rest on, and the chants actually bring them to the next level of their existence. So you can chant Om Namah Shivaya, light a candle for her, or sit next to her, hold her hand, chant it internally. That is probably the best way to help her. And it will help you as well, because you'll be able to connect with her on a soul level, and all kinds of good things will happen. So my heart goes out to you, my friend, and it's making me emotional. I wish you all the best. Make sure you take care of yourself. Have people around. When especially like when my dad died, I was working. I was on a film, and I was acting in a film, and in between, takes and whatever, I would go off, and my body would like go through convulsions, and I would weep because my dad was dying. And it wasn't because I was, consciously full of grief. It's just the body has to deal with that. That it's a big shift. And the best, friend I had, would just sit next to me and hold my hand. Everybody else would come and try and make me feel better, which I hated. And I'd just tell them to leave me alone. Just leave me alone. It's like if you're on the toilet taking a crap and somebody coming in, oh, come on, you can do it. Come on, push it out. You're like, just go away. but she just sat there and held my hand while I cried. That's, find people who can give that to you. Be there for you like that. So, again, my heart goes out to you. Question, Bill C. After using a libation offering to the elves, does it matter how you dispose of the drink? Did I teach that? Did I teach to do a libation offering to the elves? See, it depends on how you're doing it. So like if you're doing, let's say, a mantra ritual and the element offering is a libation, then what that means is that you are chanting the mantra, and the mantra is going into the cells of the liquid, and then you drink it, and it goes into all of your cells. And so the power of the mantra goes into you, the consciousness of because the mantra is the deity. Now, if you're doing a libation to the elves, we have to know what your intent is, because when you do offerings, like if you go to a funeral, you should never eat food that's been placed for a funeral or for like the ancestors, like the recently deceased or the ancestors. Leave those out and throw it into the bury it, because what happens is a spirit will come and they can't eat the food or drink it, but what they'll do is through through their essence and through smell. This is why spirits like incense, because they have smell, and they will take in the essence of whatever is the offering and then leave what's left. You don't want to drink that, because there's no life left in it. In fact, it can make you sick. It's like death. So you pour it in the ground, or you do something with it, something like that. So I don't know what your intent was, and so that's why I'm kind of on the fence. At the same time, the elves are very high vibration, so you have to decide what you're doing. Are you giving it to the elves for them to ingest, in which case, give it back to the earth. If you're doing it because like you're doing a chant and you're wanting the chant to fill the power of the elves and the chant, then you drink it. But that's a mantra thing. So I guess what I'm saying is, pour it out, but pour it into the earth as a sacred offering to the earth. That's what I would do. Princess Chen, I have a question. I believe I am a healer. I am very sick. I believe it is part of my mission to heal myself. Any advice? I completely agree with you. I don't know enough about you to know what to do. I mean, you've figured it out. You got to heal yourself. I don't know how to help you at this point. I need to ask you a bunch of questions. So the first thing I can tell you is that in my experience, for the most part, illness is a result of internal conflict. It's your soul wants to do one thing and you want to please other people. You want to please your parents or the world. It's a deeply ingrained, it sounds very simple, but it's a very deeply ingrained unconscious conflict. And the anger that people have when they're not fulfilling their soul desire gets into their body. They may feel guilty, but guilt is just anger. They're angry with themselves, and that anger goes into their body and it creates an illness. So the first thing that I would recommend to you is to get this book. The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Go to courses.thunderwizard.com and look for my books, and you'll find that book there. Go get that book and read that and figure out what your soul desire is. I don't know what else you need to heal yourself, but you need to investigate to see if you're in conflict with yourself and if you're creating the illness because of your conflict. It's not an easy thing. It may take a lot of work, but if you start from there, in my experience, that can be helpful. So I wish you all the best. If you want to work with me, then I would get a consultation with me. And for that, you can go to the career consultation page, scroll to the bottom, and buy a consultation. I'll talk to you for an hour, and maybe I can help you find out at least part of why you're in conflict with yourself and what's causing the damage. Okay? Let me see what else. Charlie Barati, question, what do you think of subliminals? I don't know what you mean by that. Write out a whole sentence. Subliminal recordings. Again, ask questions about what I teach. Asking me questions about things I don't teach tells me you're not paying attention to what I'm saying. You're not watching my videos. Do I teach anything about subliminals? If I don't teach it, I may not have an opinion. Anti-commie. Yeah, I wonder what that guy's focus in life is. I wonder what party, I wonder what political party this guy's part of. Question: when someone commits suicide, do you think they go to a parallel universe where they don't off themselves? I don't understand the question. I don't understand that question at all. When somebody commits suicide, are you saying by committing suicide they're going to a better place where they won't kill themselves? Does that make sense to you? What I hear in that question, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you're talking about somebody you know and you're wanting to know, are they okay? But it almost sounds like you think about killing yourself and you hope that by doing that you'll go someplace where you won't need to or want to. So, anything is possible. I'm not going to say exactly what happens because I don't know. Anything is possible. If somebody ends their life before they've achieved their desires, they are going to regret it. Every single person that I've read about who has tried to commit suicide and survived, like, people put a gun to their head and they click and the bullet doesn't go, or they click and the bullet goes in but it misses, and they live through it, or they jump off of bridges, and the moment, like the split second once the hammer hits they have this flash of, oh my God, I could have totally fixed that problem. This was a waste. As soon as they step off the bridge and there's no way to get back up on the bridge, they have this awareness of, oh my God, I could have totally fixed that. There was no need for me to do this. This is such a waste. So that's what's going to happen. They're going to have an awareness that they didn't face up to the challenge of what their soul wanted to do, and they didn't face up to the lessons that they themselves gave themselves to learn. And they go, oh man, I did it again. So they don't go to an alternate universe where they don't need to. They're going to go to the underworld and they're going to sit and they're going to think about it, and they're going to go, okay, so next time I'm going to make it harder on myself so that I don't get so wrapped up in my my self-pity that I do this to myself again. I'm gonna. So that's why, people off themselves. The next time around, it's only going to get harder, and it's by their own design. It's not somebody else punishing them. Their own design of they want to learn the lesson more than anything else, and they've chosen to give themselves a challenging life, and they didn't live up to the challenge they gave to themselves. That's all that means. I'm not trying to minimize it. Everybody's got difficult stuff. There's been, plenty of times in my life when I wanted, and I thought seriously about it. And look where I'm at now. Okay? Daniel Cardenas' question: why do you think the ancestors were wiped out by the Christians? I never said the ancestors were wiped out by the Christians. They became Christians. Was it because the church had better magic or technique? No. The main reason was that they wanted to fit in. And they wanted to be part of the system. They wanted money. And so they allowed themselves. Some of them were put to death and they didn't want to die. Go research the massacre at Verdun. Massacre of Verdun. Go research that. I'm being careful what I say because now I'm really analyzing my YouTube analytics, and there's some really great videos I have that I can't get advertising revenue from, and it's probably because of something I said. So I'm trying to make sure I don't say things that are going to get highlighted as, I got to be careful what I say if I want my channel to really succeed. So yeah, it's not because they had better magic or any of that other stuff. It's just because people have selfish fears and they forget who they are. It's just that simple. Dan Silk, question: my Rahu is in the 8th house. What might this mean for me? Unless, of course, more info. Yes, more info is needed. I don't know what sign it's in. I don't know what aspecting it. I don't know if there's any conjunctions. I don't know what's in your Navamsha, your 9th divisional chart. But at the very least, what it means is that what you desire is forbidden, unconscious, the things in the unconscious, hidden things, forbidden things, esoteric things. It could be a nasty placement and make you into a nasty person if there's negative things going on. But just in general, it means that what you seek is the deep, dark, secret, forbidden things. Other than that, I'd have to look at your chart to see what else it means. Let's see, what else? Flurg 3, question: what is your perspective on the shadow being seen during sleep paralysis? Sleep paralysis is a natural thing. If you didn't have sleep paralysis, you'd kill yourself in your sleep, or you'd kill somebody else in your sleep. Sleep paralysis keeps us in one spot while we're having a dream. And waking up while you're dreaming, and usually people wake up when they're having a nightmare. When they're having a bad dream, they wake themselves up. I know that happens to me all the time. You want out, and your scream will wake you up. And the sleep paralysis is just your body actually protecting you from causing yourself harm as you're waking up. So there's an assumption in there that everybody sees shadow beings during sleep paralysis. I don't see shadow beings when I have sleep paralysis, when I have a bad dream, which does happen every now and then, and I wake myself up screaming. I don't see shadow beings. So that's an assumption. Maybe you see shadow beings. I don't know. I don't know what they are. I don't know. There's a possibility that there could be alternate, spiritual beings in the room that are causing you to have the nightmare, which is creating the sleep paralysis. I don't know. I don't know if that's what's happening to you or not. My guess is that it's probably nothing, that it's just your unconscious fears. There are only 3 kinds of dreams. The majority of the dreams you have, you don't remember. And that's like, right now I'm going and I'm picking up my mouse and I'm putting this down and I'm going to take this and I'm going to drink some protein drink. All of those things, in fact, my hand doing this, all of that is getting lodged in my subconscious mind. And when I go to sleep, my mind will go through every single second. Have you noticed that, like, if you fall asleep for half a second, you have like an hour-long dream, but you've only been asleep for a second, and you know that because you're still watching television and the commercial is still on? So time takes a big shift when you fall asleep. The majority of your dreams is your brain taking all of this and just filing it away and throwing it away. Okay, don't need to remember that. Don't need to remember that. Oh yes, I proposed to my girlfriend. Yes, we'll save that memory. Now let's throw that away. That's the first kind of dream. The second one is an actual spiritual dream where you exit your body, or you talk to a deity, or you meet an ancestor, or you have a shamanic dream or a lucid dream or something that actually has spiritual significance. Those are very rare, although most people think their dreams mean more than they do. And the third one is you're either having a fantasy or a fear. So you're dreaming that you're married to a supermodel. That's obviously your fantasy. You have a dream that you're being eaten alive by sharks in a pool of acid. That's obviously some psychological fear. We need to understand what those are. So I think probably the shadow beings are just part of your fears, if that's your experience. What else? That's it. No more questions. All right. So if you don't ask me questions, what happens is I sell you stuff. So you get to hear now about all of the savings you're going to get at courses.thunderwizard.com. And I'll be back in a couple minutes. Any more questions, I'll answer them. It's tax time. What that means for you is 50% special on all of my products and services that you get through this courses.thunderwizard.com link, except for books and DVDs, which are Amazon and the Patreon subscription. Everything else, I have reduced prices by sometimes 2/3. And that is because even though the Thunder Wizard is a very accomplished spiritual practitioner and teacher, he is an idiot when it comes to accounting. And so I have this huge tax bill that I have to pay, and I need money to pay it. So if you want to keep me off the streets, and if there's something that you've wanted that you've been either saving up for or waiting for a special, now is the time. You can clean up. So if you go to courses.thunderwizard.com, you're going to see all of my products and services. And on there, you're going to see a bunch of them will have a discount attached to them. Now, just because it doesn't say 50% discount on the link, don't let that stop you from going to the link and checking it out. I'm going to walk through all of the ones that I know of. So first off, we have the Becoming an Immortal video series. Now, this is something that I made a while ago because people were wanting to know about an esoteric Taoist spiritual practice called the Method of Holding the Three Ones, which allows you to become an immortal. Now, from the Taoist perspective, an immortal doesn't mean that you live forever in this body or that you achieve enlightenment. It means that you raise your energy vibration in your body and all the cells of your body to such a degree that you phase out of existence and you become a god. For them, that was one way that they could achieve enlightenment, because then you don't have to be reincarnated. You can remember who you are and what your past life was, and keep all of your memories, and you can become a god. That is the Becoming an Immortal series that you'll find on there. Second one, this one I get asked for this all the time. This is the 2-for-1 certification special. And that one, I give you 2 certifications for the Vedic astrology, the Thunder Wizard Vedic astrology, and the Thunder Wizard rune reading certification. Now, I can't even begin to tell you how many hundreds of hours of teaching are on these videos. And normally you would have to get them each separately. But now you can just pay for one and you get both certifications. When you become certified, which means that you've studied all the videos, you take a very simple test with me to let me know that you know the material, then you will become certified. You will become an official Thunder Wizard, either both Vedic astrologer and rune reader. You will get your own web page. I will put you on the pages for that, astrology.thunderwizard.com. You will be one of my astrologers. And for the runereadings.thunderwizard.com, you'll be one of my rune readers. You can use that page for yourself. You can go and advertise your business. You can, if you give me different links, I'll put links on your specific page. Just the service of putting up a page for you is worth the price of the certification. And so you've got that going on. We have the I've reduced the distance energy cleansing service that I did. Remember, I was giving it away, almost giving it away as I was introducing it. Then I raised the price significantly. I've dropped that down again, almost back to where it was in the beginning. The all of your Vedic astrology, I'm going back to I'm taking off like 70% of what I used to charge for my readings. You can get an astrological reading from me. Let's see, the 4 tools to exit the matrix, that is also still at a savings level. The 5 rules to master the matrix, I've cut prices on that. The career consultations, to get a career consultation from me, I have slashed the prices on those as well. All of those links for all of those services and those teachings can be found at courses.thunderwizard.com. So Even though, as I said, many of you have thanked me, your teachings have saved my life, I've learned a lot and all of that, and I enjoy all those compliments, and I think that I've come up with some pretty wonderful and innovative ways at looking at traditional spirituality. But as I said, when it comes to managing my money, I'm an idiot. And so for that reason, you get to save a bunch of money now. Now, as soon as I have enough money to pay my taxes, my prices are going to go back to where they normally are. So I can't guarantee you how long this special is going to last, but take advantage of it now. If there's something that you've wanted to learn from me, other than the apprenticeship or the books and DVDs you get on Amazon, almost everything else, the prices have been slashed significantly. So take advantage of them. Go to courses.thunderwizard.com, shop to your heart's content, and help me to pay my taxes. Thanks a lot. All right. I went a little longer than I thought, but anyway, so be it. All right, so I don't see any more questions. Do I see any questions here? No, I don't see any more questions. So either I have answered all of your questions, or you're bored out of your mind, or something. So I've just gone through the whole, selling myself kind of thing. One thing I do want to share with you that I've just added, and that you can find at thunderwizard.com, and that is I've started a new subscription series which is called The Divine Union of the Masculine and the Feminine. And this is going to go to take everything that we've taught to the next level. When I was training in spirit fighting, in order to really understand how energy works, and learning how to fight negative entities with your bare hands takes a high level of energy. You had to understand the interplay between masculine and feminine. And understanding the interplay of masculine and feminine is extremely important when it comes to magic, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to understanding yourself, when it comes to health, when it comes to just, basically everything. Without that understanding, it's hard to function at all. And most people have a limited, if not completely mistaken understanding of what that is. And so I won't get too deep into it now, because that's what that course is for. So you can go to thunderwizard.com, scroll on the side, get to Divine Union of Masculine and Feminine if you're interested in that. And there's going to be free videos that I've just started to put up about that as well. So you'll learn about that. All right, let's see. I think I saw a question. Wanderer. Yes, here's the thing. When you guys put up a comment and then delete it, I still see it. So I saw 2 comments, you put up, and then I assume you deleted them. But I'm pretty sure you asked this question already. So I want to know if you've already asked me this question. Because if you have and you're asking it again, that tells me a lot about you. Question, background, making my own physical thunder wheel for working your teachings. Should this be aligned to grid north or magnetic north, or is the difference negligible? I don't know if you were the person that asked, but there was somebody that asked that same question, and my answer is the same. It doesn't matter. Just pick one. If it had been important, I would have said you have to do magnetic north. No, you have to do the grid. It doesn't matter. Just do it. I don't care which. I pick up your phone and use your phone. It doesn't matter. I mean, the difference is negligible. It really doesn't make that big of a difference. But it tells me that you think too much. You get too stuck in your head. So that's what it tells me about you. Stop thinking so much. But I'm glad you asked the question, and the answer is it doesn't matter. I don't care. It would be easy for me to give you the answer, but I want you to wrestle with the indecision within yourself and just pick one and make the decision, knowing that it might be maybe not perfect. Live with that and learn how to not be in your head all the time. Alrighty. No more questions. Let me see. This is, should I talk about this as well? I mean, again, if you don't ask questions, I'm going to sell you stuff. So let's talk about this. This is a new service that I've offered, which has to do with romance and astrology. So this is something new that I'm excited about. Okay, so I'm offering a new service, and you can find this at loveastrology.thunderwizard.com. For a while now, people have been asking me to talk more in depth about the spiritual understanding of the union of the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang, relationships, the divine feminine, the divine masculine. And recently I've been talking about what I believe to be some misunderstandings about the twin flame understanding and soulmates. So I have been, for myself, doing a lot of work researching love astrology. And I've been doing this for years. I just haven't offered it in my astrology readings. So you can go to loveastrology.thunderwizard.com, and while you're there, you can decide what kind of love reading you want. So we've got twin flame compatibility chart. So let's talk about that. So in Vedic astrology, which is what I practice, which in my experience for me has been far more accurate. And by the way, I never teach anything or do any service that doesn't work for me personally. I do this like every time. If I'm single and I meet somebody, I get her birth information as soon as possible, and I go in and I do these things to see if we're compatible. The woman who was without a doubt what I would consider to be a twin flame, if you want to use that word, you could see in our charts that we were in fact the same mind in two bodies. So Vedic astrology will show that. Now, it's important to be able to know the difference between an actual soulmate twin flame connection and your karmic projection. And these are lots of times mistaken for twin flame. In fact, when people will misunderstand or justify a dysfunctional codependent relationship and call it a twin flame relationship because there's so much dysfunction going on. So this can be seen in the chart as well. And I can tell you from my personal experience, whenever I've looked at astrology, Vedic astrology, and used it to see compatibility, it's always turned out to be accurate. You know, and I could get into specifics, but I won't take up your time with that. So that is one service that I give, is the twin flame compatibility chart. So if you're dating somebody, either you just met them or you've been dating them for a while, you can, as long as you have their birth information and your birth information, you can work with me, and I'll be happy to take a look at both of those charts and let you know whether or not this is a twin flame connection or a soulmate connection, or you know what kind of connection you actually have. All right, the next thing that I'm going to be showing you, which is something that is really wonderful about Vedic astrology, and I've only known a couple of Vedic astrologers who actually knew how to do this, and luckily the guy that I learned from taught me how to do it. And this is, how many soulmates or twin flames will you have in your life? Obviously the idea of twin flame is there's only one, but how many of these kinds of relationships are you going to have in your life? What I can tell you, I may not be able to tell you the exact number that you'll have, but let's say you've been married and divorced and you're looking for your second marriage. Maybe you've been married twice and you're looking for your third. Maybe you've never been married. Maybe you've had an intense relationship. This is going to be in your chart, and I can be able to look at your chart and tell you. In fact, and I've done this before, like with people who have been divorced, I'll say, have you been married? And they'll say yes, and I'll say, hang on. And I'll look at their chart and I'll go, oh, I see here that you guys broke up because you fought all the time. That's right. Oh, let me take a look here. I'm seeing here that you got a divorce because he cheated on you. Yes, that's absolutely right. So this will be in the chart if you know how to look for it. So that means you can look ahead to see what kind of relationship you're going to have. You can see how the relationship will end, if it's going to end. You'll see what will keep the relationship together. So for instance, you see something like that maybe infidelity is a possibility. There are things that you can do to remedy that situation so that may not happen for you. So this is in the second package, which will tell you how many soulmates that you're going to have in your life, how those relationships are going to end. And so go to loveastrology.thunderwizard.com and you'll see all the options there. I'm really excited about this. People have been asking me to do this kind of thing for a long time, so I'm finally giving it out. So loveastrology.thunderwizard.com, and keep your eyes peeled, because on the channel we're going to be talking a lot more about relationships and the union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine in all kinds of different ways. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. Whoop, I gotta turn the volume back on, you can't hear me. All right, again, no more questions. Is there anybody still even watching? You guys still watching? There's 21 people still on. So here's another lesson you're seeing in this. So I'm not hiding my scenario to you. You know, if I don't come up with a significant amount of cash pretty quick, I'm going to be in trouble. But this is how you deal with challenges. This is actually something that my unconscious mind has created. And I'll explain to you why that is. My unconscious mind has created this juggernaut for me financially so that I would continue to push forward with higher level teachings. Because when I'm stuck with, oh my gosh, I got to come up with a lot of money, what am I going to do here? I can't, you know, as much as I want to, you know, like when I watch, you know, when I'm this stuff about the, you know, twin flame stuff, and I'm listening to all the nonsense of it, it angers me. And it angers me because there's an actual real teaching beyond it that I haven't expressed. And so that anger within me pushes me to want to talk about it. So instead of doing, you know, because I sit around going, gosh, you know, if I just started a channel about, you know, alien abductions, or, you know, if I fed into people's fears, I mean, I could be a billionaire. You know, I just recently did an interview with John X Army, and he shared how he was making money hand over fist on YouTube because he was buying, you know, he was part of it. He was buying into the whole conspiracy theory fear stuff, and people just eat that up. If I made a channel just about reptilians, or just about you know, all that stuff, I could make a ton of money. I can't live with myself, so I have to teach things that are of value. And so what it's doing is it's pushing me to teach things that I was a little embarrassed about teaching, and that tells me if I'm embarrassed about it and it's something I believe in, it means it's got a lot of value to it. So now I can't hide behind, I'm doing okay, I got everything I want, I'll just save that for later. I put myself in a position where I have to start teaching from a deeper level of myself. And I'm sharing this with you because this is how you look at the challenges that come up in your life. When you go after what you truly want, these kind of challenges are going to come up. So you can either knuckle under and run away, or you can face it and die to yourself. So I'm dying to my ego. I mean, every time I see that loveastrology.thunderwizard.com, it's like my ego gets all... But the truth is that there's some really valuable teaching in there that I want to share about. And instead of running from it, I embrace it. And I die to my ego every time that I put it up there. You know? Every time that I point up here and sell this and I sell that, you know, there's a part of me that responds the same way a lot of what I think the immature people who didn't get enough love from mommy and daddy do when they complain about spiritual commercialism. You know, what it really means is that what they're projecting onto me is that they don't feel that they have the right to earn money from they're not valuable, and that they shouldn't get paid for their time and their effort, regardless of what it is that they do. And so because of that shame that they feel, they project that onto me. And so I understand that. I have those same things are within me. And when I'm pushed to the edge and it's like, okay, I got to do something about this, it's my own spirit saying, yeah, and I want you to get up off your ass and start going on a deeper level. So I created this so that you'd be forced to do that. That's how things work. And so I'm sharing that with you, so that you can do that. Again, this has to do with how the matrix works. It responds when you act from fearlessness with power and with, giving you all the things that you want, the resources that you need. When you operate from fear, which means I want people to love me. Somebody asked me earlier today, how do I separate my business self from my good self? I can hear all kinds of shame in that. And so when you operate from that shame, even if it's you're sitting on your high horse saying, well, you're a spiritual commercialist and you're not, you're operating from that fear, and the universe goes, that person's operating from fear. Let's withhold resources from them, which makes them feel more like mommy and daddy don't love them, which makes them project onto people like me and get, abusive towards, people that are doing things about it and making money and doing things they unconsciously wish they could do. So, I learned this a long time ago when I went to a comedy club in Los Angeles, and I think how old was I? I think I was 21 or 22. And went and saw, Robin Williams, who's now dead. It was a big deal. He walked in and he just did his thing, and there was all these comedians, and I wasn't impressed. I knew I was better than them, and I left that comedy that comedy club that night, telling the people around me, they weren't that funny. I'm better than them. And I stopped and I said to myself, Mike, put up or shut up. You don't know what it's like to be on that stage being a comedian. Why don't you go be a comedian and then say that? So I did. I mean, looking back on it, I have a lot of respect that I even did that. I was 21 years old and I just started doing stand-up. And I could have been big, and I sabotaged myself, and I was on the verge of going to Vegas on, a free trip to Vegas to be headlined, and I sabotaged it, because I wasn't ready for the success. But I proved to myself that I could do it, that I was right. And that taught me something. It's when I'm angry at somebody for what they're doing and I want to criticize them, I need to be teaching that. I need to be doing whatever it is I'm criticizing them for. That's why when everybody comes onto my channel and they criticize me, I say, don't waste your time arguing with me. If you think you know more than I do, write your own books, start your own channel. I mean, part of it is I'm being, passive aggressive and saying, look what I did. You haven't done what I did, have you? But I also mean what I'm saying. I'm saying, go do it. If you believe it, there's something of value. You're a teacher and you have something of value. Stop wasting your time arguing with people that you unconsciously wish you could be. Stop envying them. Go be them. Go start a channel about how I'm full of crap. I will applaud if you do that, because at least you're doing something about it. So I'm giving you, another thing. This is another way to get the matrix to respond to you, and give you the success and the prosperity and the happiness that you really want. Okay, Wanderer says, question, do you have an author you recommend in regards to the Vedas? Why are you asking me about somebody else? Why aren't you asking me about my books? You know what I mean? Why would I want to give you somebody else's book to go read and have you give them your money instead of give it to me? Come on, man, you've been watching me long enough. That's not going to get anywhere with me. Having said that, I don't know offhand. I can't give you an author offhand about that. You want to learn about the Vedas? Take my astrology course. I talk about a lot of Vedic mythology. Anyway. All right, so now we're just getting silly, and there's really nobody asking any questions anymore. I've sold you everything there is to sell you. Now that he's, but you know what? I'm just going to prove the point. I'm just going to drive it home. Let's talk about, before we go, the most powerful energy practice that I think is available that can be taught on video. Anything more powerful, you have to learn it in person. Where is that? Where to go? Come back here. There it is right there. Hi, I'm Michael Denny of SpiritTao.com, and this is Celestial Negung Part 1. Celestial Negung means that this is power that is descending from heaven. And the idea is that we are all microcosms of the entire universe. You are the entire universe, and everything around you is simply the projection. You are looking within yourself. So when you look up into the stars at night, you're actually looking deep within your own body. When you look at the sun, the moon, the trees, the flowers, you're looking within yourself. This is Negung. And so what we're doing is we're simply releasing that infinity from within us. You are tapping into and releasing the power that is within our own body, our own cells, our own organs. So one of the reasons that I'm making this DVD is in the hope that the essence and the spirit of the teaching of the Shang Qing arts can be taught to the world at large, and it is my hope that the core essence of what the Shang Qing tradition is will continue to live and grow and evolve. As we move on into the Aquarian age, everything is changing. I don't need to tell you that. The entire world is changing, and what we are seeing now is that if people hold on to external things, they are very challenged in life. And those who are making the transition into the next phase that we are moving into in the world as we approach 2012, those who look within and find their source of strength from within, those are the people who are getting the most out of life and will make the transition into the next phase of evolution most comfortably. It is my belief that the Shang Qing tradition is one method whereby human beings can evolve into the next level of being in the most comfortable fashion and be able to take advantage of the rapid, energetic, mental, and spiritual changes that are going on in the world today. All right. I think that's everything for the time being. All right. So I've sold about everything I can sell today. Let me see here. I don't see any more questions. So we're just going to call it a day then, or an evening, wherever you are. All right. I do have, if anybody wants to, leave in the comments, in the comment section of this video, if there's something that you would like me to, if there's something that you would like me to teach, if there is a certification course or a video course of something that you would like me to teach that you'd be willing to pay money for, let me know what that is. And if it's something that I have an interest in and that I feel a connection to, if there's enough interest, I'll go ahead and teach that. So that's it for me, my friends. Somebody asked this question here. Let's see. The music in the video is absolutely beautiful. Do you know where I can find it? Yes. The guy who used to be one of my friends and was my flute teacher, who ended up marrying my ex-wife behind my back. And his name is Joseph L. Young, and he's quite a talented musician. I believe that I used his one of his flute. If you go looking for it, you should find it. Joseph L. Young. Go look for him. He's the guy who did the. I borrowed that from him to do the background for that DVD. All right, that's it. Talk to you guys later.